It's 10:30, and I want to start off by welcoming all our friends to our second day of live poetry lessons. I'm Lisa Levenger from Accelerated Literacy Learning, and I'm thrilled to say good morning to you and greet you with a hearty all for one and all for poetry. I hope everybody's doing really well. Again, if you have a moment, just grab some poetry paper, your favorite writing utensil, and let's get ready to do some writing together. Put phone in portrait mode. Okay. Yesterday, you learned about the poetry has power to paint a picture in your mind. So poems paint pictures in our mind. So I hope that you had a chance as a family or as an individual to reread the poem that Lorraine set up yesterday that was called Sunset by Lillian Moore. And if you got a chance to reread this gorgeous poem, one of the things you can do when you're thinking about how poems paint pictures in our mind is you can reread the poem and select a wow line. Then you can circle that wow line, which is a line that really speaks to you emotionally, and then illustrate an image that matches the words in the poem. So for our family, when we did this activity last night, we reread Lillian Moore's poem. And for my daughter Margot, her wow line was the pond mouth. She circled the words the pond mouth, she wrote them on the bottom of her paper, and then she illustrated what for her spoke to her as the pond mouth. Gabby selected the line melting sun. Again, she circled her wow line and then she illustrated it. You can see how her images match what she perceived as the words from Lillian Moore. So I invite you today, if you have a moment, to grab any type of artist's painting or markers or crayons, although watercolors always come out so beautiful, and use those to identify a wow line from a poem you love, like Lillian Moore's Sunset, and then identify that wow line, and then use some type of painting medium to match the words. Okay. All right, so that was yesterday's activity. Today, we're going to be working on something a little bit different. We're going to work on how poetry is a wonderful way to explore feelings. Okay, so our lesson for today is going to be about how poetry is a wonderful way to explore feelings. I'm going to start off our lesson today by sharing a poem by Carla Kuskin. It's a simple but very lovely poem. I'm just going to grab my poet. My poem's going to go right on my poetry. Get it? That was painted by Gabby and Margot. And I'd love to share this poem with you. It is gray out. It is gray in me. It is as gray as the day is gray. The trees look sad. And I, not knowing why I do, cry. I'm just going to let that hang in the air for a little bit. If you get a chance, if you don't mind, please send me a chat on the chat box. Just send me out a word or two that might describe how the poet is feeling. Yep. Some people are typing in. Yep. You're right. She feels sad, or somebody in the bottom wrote melancholy. She uses some words to kind of let us know how she's feeling without saying sad or melancholy or lonely. She uses the color gray throughout the poem to let us know that a color can kind of convey to us an emotion. She uses some imagery of trees. So trees are a way, if they look sad, to convey to us how she's feeling on the inside. And then at the very end, she does a surprise by just saying, not knowing why, she cries. So Carla Kuskin doesn't start the poem off by saying, I feel sad. She starts off by using imageries and uses colors or memories to evoke a feeling within us. So poets often use a technique called show, don't tell to really let us know how they're feeling on the inside. Poems, because they don't use a lot of words, have to choose every word perfectly. Let's try it out. I want to share some poems with you that former students have written where they did the same thing. They shared a poem and with me in which they told us a feeling, but they didn't name the feeling. Instead, they used images, visuals, colors, and memories to let us know how they're feeling. So let me start off with a poem by Jaden. Jaden writes, flower growing. Sounds like a person saying, hooray! It feels like a home run. Tastes like a milkshake wiggling in the air. Like a smiling marshmallow, a baby robin that learned to fly. Happy when I achieve. So Jaden used imagery of a milkshake wiggling in the air, a smiling marshmallow, a baby robin learning to fly. And Jaden never says how Jaden's feeling when she wrote the poem. Jaden felt proud. And instead of just saying, I feel proud, Jaden used images and words to convey the message. I'd like to share one more student poem with you, if I may. And this is by Harold. Like a big red monster bear, someone is bothering me. Face is red. We'll be all alone. Not comfortable. Just alone. So Harold conveys a feeling of loneliness. Without saying, I feel lonely, Harold talks about a red face. So a color and an image. Harold talks about a big monster bear. So as you can see, you can use imagery, you can use colors or animals or a memory to evoke a feeling without naming that feeling. So I'm going to have us start to do this activity. If you don't mind, grab a pen or a pencil and paper, and I'm going to show you how to start to do this activity on your own. It's really important that you keep a poetry folder that's designated just for poetry because Accelerated Literacy Learning is actually hosting their first annual poetry contest. Hooray! So all your original poetry should be housed right in here so that when it's time to actually submit your original poems, it'll be easy for you to grab a poem and go through the process of editing and revising and then finally sending the poem to us. Some of those details will be shared tomorrow by Susan, since tomorrow's April 1st, the official beginning of National Poetry Month. So I look forward to reading some of your poems. What I want you to do is, the way to create poetry paper is you take regular paper that looks just like this, and you're actually going to cut it in half. Now, the reason I'm cutting this paper in half, and I always do it the long way, is this forces you to use very few words. Now you can't write sentences. If you're just writing a word or two or three across here, it will start to look and feel like a poem as opposed to a sentence. So make sure that you have poetry paper like this, always in hand in your poetry folder. And what I'm going to have you do is grab a piece of that paper. And in order to do this activity about feelings, I have two ways that you can do this. The first thing you can do is you can create a feelings bowl. A feelings bowl is simply a bowl that I've labeled with the words feelings, and I've thrown in some index cards with the words of different emotions. So I have happy, lonely, anxious, surprised, embarrassed, angry, and they're all here in the bowl. So I'll give the bowl a big shake if I want, and I can just choose an emotion randomly. So that's one way you can do this. The other way that you can do this is you can write the emotion across the top of your poetry paper and fold it in half. The reason I'm having you fold it in half is so that you can really work on employing the technique of show, don't tell, okay? So these are two different ways that when you and I are done with our Facebook Live session, you can do this on your own, okay? So I'm actually going to opt for using the poetry bowl. I have my poetry paper in hand, and I'm going to give it a good shake, shake, shake. And this is the emotion that I'm going to write about today. And that emotion is happy. So I'm going to think about using images and colors, maybe a memory or an animal to start to write my poem. So when I think about a happy color, the color pink definitely comes to mind. So let me start off by writing, let me see, an image is going to be what I start off with. So I'm going to start off with bubbles of joy. Be mindful of not making it look like a sentence, but really like a poem. So just 1 or 2 or 3 words sprinkled on different parts of the paper. Oh, because I love pink so much, I'm going to do pink sparkles. Poetry is amazing in its use of very few words to convey a lot of big feelings. Pink sparkles surround my heart. Again, using images to convey a feeling. Oh, memories. Okay, well, for those of you who know me, you know I'm obsessed with my birthday. So of course I'm going to have to write the word birthday as part of my poem. Birthday, birthday, birthday. So I'm thinking about a special birthday. Yep, I'm thinking about this one birthday I had where I went for a walk in my garden outside, and just on that very day, this beautiful hyacinthia started to emerge just from the dirt. So I felt like it was a birthday wishes do come true with a surprise knock. Thinking about my birthday, another image is coming to mind. Okay, that June flower is popping out of my garden. Okay, I'd love to share my poem with you. Okay. Bubbles of joy, an image to speak to the feeling of being happy. Joy, pink sparkles, color can evoke a feeling. Pink sparkles surround my heart. Birthday wishes do come true. Surprise knock, and a June flower is popping out of my garden. So this is my poem about feeling happy. I used images, I used a memory, I even used a surprise at the end. I used that technique called show, don't tell. So before I send you off to practice this skill today, I'm going to show you the directions so that you're all set to write a poem today using feelings to convey, that can be conveyed with images, with colors, with animals, and with memories. So first, choose a feeling. You can use the feelings bowl, like I did, that you can create very easily at home, or you can take poetry paper that is just normal paper cut in half, but don't forget to just fold that top piece over, okay? That's step 1. Step 2, pick a color or an animal or image that comes to mind that represents that feeling. For me, I talked about the bubbles of joy, my heart, about birthday wishes. Think about a memory when you had that feeling. Again, when I refer back to my own poem, I shared with you about the June flower popping out just on my exact birthday when I walk through my garden, throw in a surprise. Like in here, I wrote popping out of my garden. That's a little twist to the poem. It keeps the audience very interested and also gives them a chance to create their own images in their mind. Get your poetry paper and write, and practice the skill of show, don't tell. This is a very simple way to dig into feelings, and this is a technique that poets all over the world use to amp up their poetry writing and to make their poems more identifiable to the audience that they're sharing their poems with. Today I used color, image, and memory to let you know how happy I felt. I can't wait to see what you've written. And again, share your poems with us via the website, which Susan will go over tomorrow about how to actually submit your work and how that will be part of our first annual Accelerated Literacy Learning Poetry Contest. Susan will be hosting our poetry live session tomorrow. She asks that for tomorrow, please bring a magazine, a flyer, a takeout menu, or brochure, anything that needs to be cut up. She's going to be doing a really cool lesson with you. I will be back on Friday. Lorraine will be hosting on Thursday, and it was wonderful to have this time with you. I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to invite you to participate again on Thursday and Friday at 10:30, and we're doing this throughout the whole month of April since it's National Poetry Month. So be kind, be safe, and be hopeful. Bye, everybody.